Most women don't even realize it. Sometimes the boundary was never really a boundary. Sometimes it was only a suggestion that was never enforced. And when something keeps getting crossed without consequences, people eventually stop seeing it as a real limit. That's true in relationships too. And I think a lot of women confuse patience with acceptance. They think they're being understanding, being loving, being supportive. But over time, they slowly teach people what they're willing to tolerate. And one thing I've learned over the years is that patterns matter because people love talking about red flags, but they don't always stop long enough to look at repeated patterns, especially in relationships. A lot of women keep ending up with the same type of man, just in a different body. And I know that because before Jake, I had to learn that lesson myself. Before I got married, I kept being drawn to the same kind of man. Different personality, different situation, same outcome. And eventually I had to stop asking, why do I keep meeting men like this? And start asking, why am I attracted to this type of man? That changed everything for me because sometimes the issue isn't just who keeps showing up. Sometimes it's what feels familiar to us, and familiarity can trick you, especially if chaos, confusion, inconsistencies, or emotional unavailability feels normal to you. Sometimes people confuse emotional intensity with connection, but peace feels different. Peace can feel unfamiliar when you're used to dysfunction. And one thing raising sons taught me, men tell on themselves more than women realize. Not always directly, but through patterns, through consistencies, through effort, through tone, through behavior. And women miss a lot trying to focus only on words. One thing I learned from my sons and from being married for many years is that men often show you who they are early, but many women overlook things because they want potential more than reality. And I understand that too, because when I wanted love, companionship, marriage, sometimes you focus on what something could be instead of what it really is. But over time, you learn that peace matters more than potential. And boundaries matter too. Real boundaries, not emotional speeches, not repeated warnings, not hoping somebody changes while continuing to accept the behavior. Because eventually, a boundary that is never enforced becomes background noise, and people adjust to what you allow. That's true in marriage too. And I think this is why so many women end up emotionally exhausted, because they spend years trying to manage behavior instead of recognizing patterns early. And I'm not saying people can't grow, but growth usually starts when reality is acknowledged clearly, not avoided, not softened, clearly. And one thing I've learned after many years of marriage is that peace in a home is built intentionally. It doesn't happen automatically. And healthy relationships usually come from two people who are emotionally aware enough to recognize patterns before those patterns become damage. And sometimes growth as a woman means realizing the pattern doesn't change until you do. And that right there is wife life truth. Most women learn much later than they should.